Lars Alexanderson, the protagonist of Tekken 6, the guy with anime hair and a made-up martial art called Tekken Force, which is either the coolest thing you've ever seen or the stupidest, depending on who you ask. Love him or hate him, he's consistent in what he does. Of the 300 kids Heihachi has, Lars is like the only one that's like not a complete dick. But enough about the intro. What do I think about his gameplay in Tekken 8? It's a mixed bag, I'll say that. When people talk about Lars, they usually talk about his wall travel and his combos. He still has those, but wall travel in general just seems to be nerfed in this game. With tornadoes replacing tailspins, his combo routes don't feel as creative as they used to. He still fundamentally plays like Lars. He has his orbital, he has his 1-1-1, but they've changed enough things to him to where he's definitely different. In my Raven video, I made my opinion pretty clear that he's lost his charm for me. This video is going to talk about some of the changes they made that kind of took away from some of the fun. But before that, I'll talk about the positives. His backdash is way better than what it used to be in Tekken 7, and his sidestep's also pretty good. If you hold back after going to dynamic entry, you'll do a backdash, and this is really useful for tricking your opponent. You can also hold down after you go into silent entry to go into limited entry, which is kind of a new stance. People used to consider his stances to be a completely fake mix-up.
His stance is completely fake.
But this game's actually made some of them pretty genuine. His new DF2 is amazing. It goes into silent entry and counter hit and knocks down. His jump is also really good now for some reason. Dynamic 3 is good. And running 3. And more moves I can't name in one video. In my opinion, Lars doesn't have very good heat engagers because they're all locked behind stances. He only has 2 that aren't. There's characters that have safe, high armor heat engagers, and all he has is a 1-1-1. His other out of stance heat engager is 3+4. This is a safe mid whiff punisher, but it's kind of slow, so you're not going to be hitting this unless it's a whiff punisher. There's characters that can hit confirm their first hit, then do the second, and the second hit's a heat engager. So why does Lars not have something like this? They pretty much butchered his counter hits. A lot of moves that used to give a counter hit launch or frames just don't do either anymore, or they just changed it to be worse. 2-1-3 will be missed, same with silent entry down forward 1. These were such fun moves and they just axed them. I get they didn't want him to be Brian, but come on, they took so many away. Tekken 8 has taken a lot of our beloved characters and just made their game plans rush down, brain dead. And these characters that are abusing their new moves or their heat or their tracking throws, power crushes, are the least fun to play against, and Lars is kind of a offender of this. They pretty much made him the definition of a stance mix-up character. Besides some new additions, his out-of-stance buttons feel like they've been the same for a really long time. The direction they took him is that everything can be a stance transition. You can go into one stance, into another, into another. And they've added more strings that can go into stances. To me, they made it pretty obvious that they want you to play him like this, and there's nothing you can do about it because his out-of-stance options just aren't as good. So even though people are going to get mad at you for zooming across the floor, you have to. If you were to argue, no, my Lars is really fair and square, no one has a problem with my Lars with how I play him, then you're just probably playing him wrong and weird. Because when he's in heat and he gets that forward 3+4 rebellion plus 10 free mix-up, that shit is crazy. I could yap more about some of the changes they've made that I just don't like. I know he's stronger now, I just don't enjoy his playstyle as much as I used to. A lot of characters have been reworked to just have less of an identity, or they've taken away things like their execution or their combos or just things like that. So luckily Lars doesn't have it that bad. So anyway, that's about it. See ya.